Scott, one of the interesting matchups tonight, and I know you have a power play meeting every day, so what are you seeing from the number one ranked penalty kill that's going to go up against the number one ranked power play?
Yeah, extremely aggressive group. They really come after you. They kind of have that three-point pressure happening all the time, and they got a mobile D that, they're not afraid to extend to the blue line, a lot like Carolina likes to look at, kind of like to come at you. And they certainly, they make you work. You really got to work to get inside for the second and third opportunities.
It hasn't been the end-all and be-all for you because you almost have the same number of victories when you score first as opposed to getting scored on first. But in those 18 games where you've scored first, the goal differential is 80-35. Is getting that first goal, does that allow you to get into your game, to use your depth a little bit more than if you don't?
Yeah, I think that every coach in the league would say I'd love to be up a couple, get out in the head, really kind of get the other team stressing to try to have to make mistakes. But at the end of the day, we really kind of talked about being better in our first periods and certainly making it easier on ourselves. And there's been stretches where we've come out flat and had to work our way back. And there's other times, I thought the other night, the first 10 minutes were really good, and we got down in that one. But at the end, we got to make sure that that we're forcing Nashville to defend. We're getting out on. If we can get out and get a lead, that's great. And you're right. If you're chasing games, you're probably overloading your top three lines, and you're not using your depth as much. But at the end of the day, sometimes the other night that was 2 power plays. So it wasn't really 5-on-5 wasn't really sort of the issue. So we got ourselves back into it and went from there.
I know you wouldn't necessarily tell us what your exact goaltending plans are, but if I was to ask you,
one of the two will be playing.
I have that figured out. Yeah. Would there be a consideration ever to play Connor back to back?
Not. I'm going to say I never say never, but with this Four Nations coming here, probably no.
Talked about.
I guess I just told Colorado what's going on. Then, so.
Yeah, friendly competition between these two. They both have 22 goals. There's no other set of teammates that have the kind of offensive production that they have. Are you seeing that translate? And that's a good thing to no doubt sort of see these guys push each other that way.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I've seen the competition. I've seen the cohesiveness and just it is amazing how. That one guy goes to a certain spot on the ice and recognizes exactly where the other guy is going to be, and I really, I hate to discredit. I mean, Gabe's part of that as well. He really is. He's kind of the guy that gets to the corners in the net front and kind of is their release that way. And but you can just tell they've played together a long time. Like a lot of big pairs around the league, you can tell they spent an awful lot of time together because, like I said, they have an instinct of knowing where the other guy's going to be, and they find each other. And even that goal the other night by Casey, that was a bang play, and it was quick. It had to happen fast. And Scheifele made a great pass, but Casey, that release, and if there's just he knew that he was going to be there, and that's obviously they've done that before, and there was the results.
Mark has, I think, 10 goals in the month of December, which I believe it's tied with Zach Hyman for most in the NHL. And interesting, both those guys were, candidates to make Team Canada, didn't. But it seems like, Mark and probably Zach Hyman as well has almost used that as extra motivation.
Yeah, probably. I'm sure they have. That team isn't still. It's not 100%. We don't know where it's going to be in February, certainly with injuries and situations that happen. So, I'm hoping that I wish bad luck on anybody else, but I hope that Scheif gets a chance there. I hope to see that because he's earned it. He really has this year.
Scott, what have you come to appreciate about Adam Lowry's game over the last 3 seasons? I mean, you would have appreciated him as an opposing coach, but being around him on the day-to-day basis.
2 things: consistency and leadership. Every shift he goes out, you know what you're getting. He doesn't try to change it. He doesn't get away from it very often. And then the other side, the leadership, is whether that's in the dressing room or whether that's on the ice, how he approaches things. He's vocal. He's vocal to the group when we need a kick in the butt. He's an upbeat, positive leader. But just for me, when I throw him over the boards, I know every shift I know what I'm going to get. And as a coach, that's what you'd love to have. You'd love to have that with all your players. But he's a great example of that.
Just on that, you would recognize this as well as anyone, Scott, because you've been in this community so long. Adam also does a lot of stuff off the so it's not just on the ice and in the room, but in the community too. That he's such an integral part, right?
Yeah, and he spends a lot of the time here. Spends a lot of the summer here as well. He does a lot that people, there's obviously the some you hear about and see, but there's a lot more, like a lot of our players. They're really out in the community here, and any other team I've been with, I haven't seen it like this group, with obviously Lau leading it, but just how much our players do in and around the community.
Just one on the lineup. Don't know if you'll tip your hand here. That you
Game
said
time decision.
You said all 7D you were going to try and get them in over these next 2 games. So we'll just have to wait and see who's in tonight. And
we got some bumps and bruises. We do. So I'm going to have to get kind of through here. We're not 100% where we're at yet. I'm just going to talk to first the trainers and then coaching staff, and we'll just kind of get ourselves ready for tonight in Nashville.
Obviously, good step with Dylan now, at least elevating to, it wasn't a big group today, but to get to that, this is the next step now to kind of be part of the bigger group in the non-contact. And
he's still every other day right now. So he's still, that was just because of ice availability, just being the early game today. That is just, and he was told to stay away from everybody else. So, but he's not there yet. He's not yellow jersey to come into practice with us.
Sorry, just back to Adam quickly. I don't know how well you know his dad from playing against him. I keep hearing from guys who played with him how much he reminds him of his dad. Is that similar?
Yeah. No, his dad he was a hard-nosed player. That he was good around the net, kind of big body. They used to spend a lot of time right around that goaltender, and a lot of similarities, obviously.